Hi everyone, welcome back to my studio and for part 2 of my online tailoring course. Now I must start with a little apology. The first video I did wasn't very good. It should have been in high definition but it wasn't. I've no idea why, but I've since re-uploaded a high definition version which is on my YouTube channel, or you can see it on the blog. Hopefully now I've got everything sorted so they'll always be in high definition. This video we're going to be talking about cloth choice, interfacings, interlinings and all the other bits of actual fabric that we're going to use to create our tailored garment. Now the fabric choice is a really personal thing and I'm not going to tell you what fabric you should choose. There are a few things you need to consider though. Firstly, is the fabric suitable for what you're trying to make? Now, you may be making a jacket, you may be making a skirt, trousers or a whole suit. It's very easy to pick a fabric that you think looks nice only to find that it doesn't work, it's too heavy or it's too light. The best thing you can do is actually get hold of some fabric and touch it and feel it and see what it's like to hold. Also check the colour. That some colours don't work well with your face colour. I've picked fabric before and then held it up to my face and thought, oh, that makes me look really bad. Go and ask stores, if you haven't got a local fabric store and you're shopping online, go and ask them for samples. They'll always give you samples of cloth. You can pick hold, you can feel it, you can touch it and think, yeah, that will work. Now, I know some fabric shops will charge you for samples, but is it better to spend a small amount of money for a few samples perhaps than spending a lot of money on 4 or 5 meters of your cloth only to find that it doesn't work? So that's a really important thing to do. Make sure you're happy with your cloth. Make sure the weight of it's right. If you're making an overcoat, then obviously you want it to be a heavier weight fabric. If you're making a lovely lightweight summer suit, make sure it's a nice lightweight fabric. Pick a fabric, if you're new to tailoring, that's natural. Go for wool, cotton, linen. I'd avoid silk for the minute because it's pretty tricky to work with. Wools, cottons and linens are nice and forgiving to work with. You can cover up a few mistakes if you make them. So go for that and stick with it for now. So as I said, I'm making a suit for myself. And I've chosen a very boring, I think it's black. My wife will probably say it's very navy blue. It's a virgin wool. It's medium weight. It's not too heavy. It's not too light. And it's got a very fine grey pinstripe to it. That's what I'm going to be using throughout the whole of this course to make my suit. The reason I've chosen a pinstripe is pattern matching for plaids or checks is another step on, and I'll probably do some more videos to discuss that. But when you've got a pinstripe, I can show you how you can match patterns of pockets and things like that, so we can go there. So you've chosen your cloth. Make sure you get enough for doing what you're going to do. So for me, if I'm making a 3-piece suit, 4.5 meters is plenty. Probably 4 meters you could get away with, but I always like to leave myself a little bit because, let's be honest, we all make mistakes. If you've got a check or a plaid, then I'd add a little bit more just so you can pattern match both vertically and horizontally. You'll also need some lining fabric. Now for my suit I've just picked this really nice plum, I guess it's plum lining. Make sure you get enough. Make sure if you're making a full suit you'll need enough for not just a jacket, you'll need some for your trousers or your skirt. If you're making a skirt you'll need enough for the insides of a waistcoat. So allow yourself plenty. It's not expensive. Just be careful that you don't buy cheap lining fabric. There's lots of cheap quality lining fabric. if you're going to spend the time to make yourself a tailored garment, there's no point in skimping on price. I'm not saying you have to spend a fortune on it, but just get a good quality lining fabric. You'll also need some sleeve lining fabric, and you might say, well, what's the difference? Well, there isn't really, but I always line my sleeves with either white or cream, ivory, whatever colour you want to call it, a light colour. Now the reason for that is twofold. One, your arms move a lot when you're wearing a jacket. Also, you might sweat a little bit. The last thing you want is the colour of your lining, so let's say our plum colour over there, coming off onto a light shirt underneath. So a nice light coloured lining for your sleeves really does help, and you don't need very much of it. So you've picked your fabric, your cloth that you're going to use to actually construct your garment. But with tailoring, there's a lot more to go in. And tailoring falls into three sort of categories. There's traditional tailoring, there's soft tailoring, and there's a sort of crossover hybrid between the two. This course I'll only be focusing on traditional tailoring techniques. And by that I mean canvas or haircloth is used for the fronts of your jacket. It's also used for waistbands on your trousers or skirt, etc. Soft tailoring generally relies on fusible interfacings that you fuse to the back of your cloth to give it the structure and form. And the hybrid is a cross between the two. So you may have your chest area with haircloth or canvas, and then the rest of the garment will be fusible interfacing. Now, although I'll concentrate on the traditional methods, I will mention as we go along, this is where you could do the hybrid, or this is where you could just soft tailor. So you can pick and choose the method that suits you best. Now, for traditional tailoring, you're going to need, like I say, some canvas or some hair canvas. This is what it looks like, and as the name suggests, it's generally made out of some form of hair. It's got cotton in there, there might be goat hair, horse hair, various different things. It's used, as I say, to give the form and the shape and the structure to the garment as you make it. So, for example, on a jacket we would cut out two front panels. Those would then be shaped and manipulated before the actual cloth is attached to the canvas, so your jacket will hold its shape pretty much forever. There are lots and lots of different makes, there's lots and lots of different weights, there's lots and lots of different textures of canvas. And again, it's like with the cloth, ask for a sample, see what you think feels the best for what you're making. Generally, go for a canvas or a haircloth that's similar in weight, or perhaps a little bit heavier than your actual cloth you're using. There are companies that will give you samples and swatches of every different type of canvas that they provide. So it's worth asking, and you'll just get the feel of the canvas. So you'll need about just over a metre, 1.2 metres. I generally buy 1.5 metres, so I've got enough because, as I say, I'll probably use it in the waistbands of trousers or a skirt. Allow yourself enough. You'll also need a different type of canvas or haircloth, which is called chest canvas. Now, this forms what's called a plastron over the chest area, and that gives you the nice curved shape over a chest, whether it's men's chest or a woman's chest. And the difference of the chest canvas is it's a lot more springy. The weft threads are generally slightly heavier hair, basically, that allow you to shape it using a tailor's ham, which I discussed in video 1, so you can get that really nice shape and fitted shape for where you want it. You don't need very much of this. Half a metre probably is enough. Now that sort of covers the canvassing side of things, but then there's a lot more that you'll need. The next is some cotton silesia or linen silesia. It's a twill weave fabric, generally of cotton. It's very, very tightly woven, and it's really, really strong. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've made trousers, for example, and within 6 months you've got a hole in the pocket because I've just used some standard cotton. This is really, really good stuff. It's also useful for reinforcing, perhaps where you've got your pockets on a jacket. You can put it behind when you sew through to put your pockets on, and it just reinforces everything behind it. Good stuff. Again, allow yourself enough, because if you're doing trousers or a skirt perhaps that's got pockets, waistcoat with pockets, you've got pockets on a jacket, and then other areas you'll put it around the inside of your cuffs on a jacket. Give yourself a good 1.5 meters really. Allow plenty, because it'll always come in useful and it's not expensive. The next thing is domette. Now domette sort of looks and feels a bit like fleece. This is used to go over your chest plastron area on the inside, so closest to you, and it just stops the chest canvas being scratchy and itchy through the lining. Again, 1/2 metre is plenty, because it's just going to cover the area that you do with the chest canvas. You'll need some collar canvas. Now this canvas again is different to our body canvas and our chest canvas. Collar canvas is always cut on the bias, because you need to be able to create this really nice shape on a collar. And it's also impregnated with beeswax, which gives it that extra bit of stiffness. Once you've got the shape, once you do your collar and have the shape, it will hold that shape pretty much forever. It's really nice to work with. The problem is, of course, you're buying it and then cutting it on the bias, which means you've got to buy more to cut a length big enough for your collar. Next up, some linen holland, this is called. It's a linen fabric which again is impregnated with beeswax, so it's kind of shiny, it's slippery. You only need a very small amount. I don't know, 20 centimeters of it, I guess. You probably even need that. And this is used across the front of the shoulder forepart, where you've got your canvas and everything else. It allows all the movement, so you don't end up with puckers and ripples underneath the fabric. If you haven't got this and you can't get it, a nice piece of linen will work. You'll need an undercollar, and traditionally we use Melton wool. Now Melton wool is expensive, but you can find suppliers that will supply you with 2 halves of a collar, so you don't have to buy a metre of Melton. The undercollar is always stitched in 2 halves, so it's not one continuous piece, and again it's cut on the bias, because you need that stretch and ability to shape the collar as you go. I've gone for a plain black. You can be really fancy and go for a nice brightly colour. Sleeve head roll. This is canvas cut on the bias, which has then got a foam backed fabric sewn over it, and this is what goes around your shoulder head, or your sleeve head, okay, which gives you the nice crisp shape to the top of your sleeve head into your shoulder line. You can buy it, but I will show you how to make your own, because you'll have enough canvas left that you can cut some bias, and we can put some domette around it and sew it up to form exactly the same thing. Shoulder pads. Now these are again a bit of a personal choice. If you're tailoring a, I don't know, perhaps a Neapolitan jacket, you wouldn't have shoulder pads because you've got very soft shoulders. You go back to the 80s where we all had really big outlandish shoulders. If you can, get hold of some shoulder pads, look at the depth of them, look at what they feel like. These are KTM shoulder pads, which as you can see aren't just a semicircle shape, they've got an extended piece that goes down, so these will fit, the deep area will fit at the front, and then you've got an extra piece that goes over the back of your shoulder just to pad out over your shoulder blade. When we get to this step, I'll show you how to make your own, so you don't actually need to buy them. So another saving thing. Well, no, it's not fabric, but you will need some buttonhole twist, because when you finish your garment, you're going to sew your buttonholes by hand. Okay. There are a few brands, it's quite hard to get hold of, to be honest. Just have a look for buttonhole twist wherever you live. It's 100% silk, it's kind of thicker, and the reason it's called buttonhole twist is because it's twisted threads rather than the standard woven thread. Now in the UK, you can buy what's called a tailor's pack, which will give you shoulder pads, it will give you your sleeve head roll, it will give you your undercollar, it will give you your linen holland, your collar canvas, your dermet, your cotton silesia, your chest canvas, and your body canvas. And there's a company in the UK called Trimmings, and you can buy a pack which gives you enough to do a suit. So rather than having to go off and buy lots and lots of different pieces, you could buy them as one pack. Of course, go to your local store if you know that they sell canvases and just buy them from them. That's fine. So we're nearly at the end of this. It's a quick video. I just want to show you the front of a jacket that I'm working on at the moment. And you can probably see this is the chest area, so the lapel, and you can see the shape that's been formed there. And if I flip it over, you can see the canvas which is floating there. Underneath the dermet we have got the chest canvas that's covered with the dermet, and obviously for the lapel that's all pad stitched to the canvas to give you that really nice shape. And this is what we're trying to achieve, and that's why hopefully you're going to follow this course and carry on with it. So that's about it really for the cloth side of things. So have a think about what you want to make, go and get your cloth, get your canvases, get all your other bits and pieces together, and the next video we'll be looking at drafting your pattern. If you're not going to draft a pattern, it's no problem at all. Go and get yourself a commercial pattern so you're ready to go with the next step. Okay, until next time, happy sewing!